Hi everyone. A couple of weeks ago, the hottest news story was about the war balloons that were floating over the United States. It's actually not the first time that war balloons have made their way, or just suspicious balloons have made their way across the skies of the continental United States. Japan in World War II made a concerted effort to send bomb balloons, or as they call them, fugo, across to attack the United States. This offensive, let's call it, is barely remembered today, but there is one excellently detailed book that discusses the history and the mechanics of these balloons. And that's the book that we're going to look at today. So, the book is unimaginatively but clearly titled Japan's World War II Balloon Bomb Attacks on North America by Robert Mikesh, who was a major in the US Army. This book looks and feels and reads like a military report, which isn't entirely a bad thing. But before we dive into the details of the book, let's get some context. The Japanese, as they were undergoing increasing and more intense air raids, decided that they wanted to do something to attack the United States. And so they came up with this idea of sending bombs on a balloon, flying on the air currents over to the continental United States, and with fingers crossed, hoping that the bombs would create forest fires, would create confusion, panic, uncertainty, and just have a demoralizing effect on the American population. It is believed that up to 9,000 balloons were launched, and potentially up to 1,000 actually made it to the United States. We have 285 documented cases of a balloon either being intercepted or landing across either the United States, the Aleutian Islands, even Canada. And those 285 cases are actually documented in this book. So potentially somewhere on some remote walking track, there could be the rusting remains of a Japanese incendiary bomb or anti-personnel bomb, just tucked away before anyone can see it. Let's hope that that's not the case, and let's hope nobody finds it, because despite all the balloons that were launched, only one detonated, and it was by accident, and that took the lives of between 6 and 7 people, most of them children. They were on a trip, they found the balloon, they tugged at some of the cables, and boom. So for all that effort, it was an overwhelming failure. In terms of engineering, there were some impressive elements to it, particularly using a system of weights to change the height of the balloon so that it could ride the air currents and reach its destination without any pilots or engines, just simply weights, calculations, radio transmissions, and the air currents. Now let's discuss this book. It is, to my knowledge, the only book that not only just discusses the balloon bomb attacks, but discusses the actual mechanics of the entire operation. It is broken up quite logically by a history of the offensive, the types of balloons that were used, the discussions of which balloons were intercepted, which ones landed, and how the Americans established procedures and counteroffensive measures to fight these balloons that were drifting their way across the oceans. The second half of the book then goes into considerable detail and looks at the mechanics of the two types of war balloons, One was type A, was made out of a type of paper material, whereas type B was made out of a type of rubberized silk. Aside from the material, both were inflated using hydrogen and could carry either an incendiary bomb or a anti-personnel bomb. And this is where my interest and fascination of the book lies, is that we're actually able to have a component by component breakdown of how this machine operated. And as no doubt you're seeing in the corner there, this book is profusely illustrated with diagrams, components, photographs of the machinery that made up these bomb balloons. We get schematics of what it looked like in flight, how it was operated, how the launching pads worked, how each individual machinery operated and ran. It's all included here. This is the most detailed book you will find on the subject of Japanese bomb balloons of World War II. And if the peripheral aspects of the Pacific War, aviation and ballooning interest you, then do check this book out. Model makers, if you want to make something very different for your aviation collection, there is more than enough photos and diagrams here to create a model balloon as well. I was fascinated by the mechanics of how these machines operated, and this book gave me plenty detail and a ton more, as well as all the accounts of the known interceptions and landings of these balloons. For the fantastic information that is incorporated into this volume, I give it 3 captain's hats. And as I said, if this appeals to those who like ballooning, aviation, the more peripheral aspects of the Pacific War, then check it out. It is definitely an interesting and insightful read about the use of air currents and ballooning. So there you have it. And if there are any other books or aircraft types that you're interested in, let me know in the comments below, and I will certainly dig through my library and review the books for you. So until next time, enjoy and happy reading, everyone.